Hi, I'm Tony Fisher. I'm a member of the Law Society Human Rights Committee and I'm chairing today's event with regard to the European Court of Human Rights, an event which is incredibly topical presently because of the political situation and the Tories' current plans to repeal the Human Rights Act if they win the next general election. So I'm looking forward to some pretty lively debate tonight, and I hope there are people from all spectrums to make sure that we get a full analysis. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this collaborative event between Matrix Chambers, the Law Society and Middlesex University.
Between us we're going to cover the nature of the debate about the European Court of Human Rights and the convention system as a whole in the UK, looking at both political and sort of judicial interventions in that debate and of course the way it's been covered by the media.
My name is Alice Donald. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Law and Politics at Middlesex University, and I'm going to be giving the lecture tonight at the Law Society with my colleague Professor Philip Leach, looking at the relationship between the UK and the European Court of Human Rights. It's a troubled relationship, and the controversy which has arisen around the court in the UK, with the Conservative Party even putting forward proposals to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, the way in which that debate has reverberated around the Council of Europe and may impact upon the future of the court and the convention system.
There's also been some controversy in the Netherlands which peaked at around 2011-12, but in fact has been seen off by a fairly effective pro-Strasbourg mobilisation in the Senate. So scepticism then is not confined to the UK, and I think elsewhere, as it does here, connects to more deep-rooted sources of alienation and anxiety, for example, hostility to immigration, Islamophobia, economic insecurity, and so on.
So I'm Philip Leach. I'm Professor of Human Rights Law at Middlesex University, and I'm Director there of the centre known as the European Human Rights Advocacy Centre. And we're here today to speak about the UK and the European Court of Human Rights, to speak about the extent to which there's been a lot of criticism of the European Court from the UK in recent years, and to some extent we want to rebut that, and we want to talk about the myths that have grown around those criticisms. I also want today to talk a little more broadly about the court as a court for Europe, a court of Europe, so that the debate isn't so parochial and focused on what's happening in the UK, because the court is doing some very, very important work across Europe, and as we can see in Ukraine at the moment, it's a court that's needed more than ever. So we will have a broad debate about the role of the court across Europe. 70,000 cases at the court, that's down from 160,000, but which is a huge reduction, but it's still 70,000 cases. Many of those cases are repeat violations. They're systemic issues across Europe, many from Eastern Europe, the former Soviet Union, but the systemic cases don't just come from the East, they also come from Central Europe and the West. That points, for me, certainly as to a failure of domestic implementation. The very purpose of the court is to, I think, as well as providing individual justice, of course, is to point towards fundamental human rights violations, systemic violations. And once the court identifies a problem, it's really then a matter for the national authorities to sort it out. This is subsidiarity. I think what's interesting about this court is that it's a combination of practitioners and academics. Academics at Middlesex, practitioners at Matrix, and one or two of us are try to straddle both roles as being a practitioner and academic. And I think both viewpoints are very important, and I think both viewpoints inform the other. And so that's what's interesting, to come together at the Law Society and look at these issues from both perspectives.
I was just wondering whether any of the panel had an instinct, or maybe even an experience, of whether Conservative politicians are really serious when they're talking about reforming our relationship with the European Court of Human Rights in a way that would breach our Council of Europe obligations, or whether it's just a show.
It's a really interesting question. I mean, I mentioned in my part of the presentation that I do think that there is, at least a degree of political opportunism about this.